Dear graduates, so here we are again, moving towards the end of the year, a time when LTH traditionally holds its graduation ceremony. It is usually a day of pomp and circumstance, a day when the university's great ceremonial hall is filled to the brim with graduates, family, and friends. There are banners and music. But today, once again, I stand here alone in this empty hall. Because despite everything, I want to give you some guiding words on this day, your day. Not to be able to meet you in person on this day feels really sad, especially since this can also be seen as my own graduation ceremony after completing my term as Dean of LTH. The graduation ceremonies have always been a special occasion, but during 2020, they have been impossible to conduct. However, when considering what's going on in the world, we must reflect upon that the cancelled graduation ceremony is just that. Unfortunately, it is a bright memory that you will not be able to carry with you on your journey through life. But it is just that. When we put it into perspective, in relation to the enormous sufferings the pandemic has bestowed upon the world, this is, after all, a minor thing. 2020 will be remembered as the time when the pandemic spread across the globe. There are many who have lost their loved ones during the pandemic, and of course, our thoughts go out to them. As during springtime, we have a healthcare and elderly care system that is fighting on its knees. A large part of society is closed down with yet unknown consequences to the economy. Many companies have filed for bankruptcy, and many are the people who have gone into unemployment and face other sufferings. We are seeing this across the globe. After all, we must be grateful that Sweden is a society that has social safety nets that at least can limit some of the consequences of the pandemic. In many places in the world, and for most people, this is lacking. For you, dear graduates, the pandemic meant that we closed down campus almost overnight and switched to digital education. One day we held exams on campus, and the next it was digital. Were we prepared? No, but we managed. I am deeply impressed by all the efforts made to succeed in this transformation. Our teachers have really performed an incredible task, and you, dear students, have really been up to the task of sharing our burden during these tough times. Have we been able to perform this transformation while maintaining the quality we are used to? No, not really. But we did it, and we learn while doing it. When the pandemic is finally over, should we just go back to our ways as they were before? No. We will draw conclusions and make the most of what digitalization offers. Even though life has become more boring and we miss the personal meetings, there is also the benefits of less travel and greater availability. In a broader perspective, you can become encouraged when you see all the unselfish acts being performed when the virus is putting us and our society to the test. We see so many examples of creativity, cooperation, and compassion. For me, this represents why I think LTH is fantastic. Our vision is, together we explore and create to the benefit of the world. And that is really true. When the going gets tough and the circumstances drastically change, we work hard together to solve it, to the benefit of the world. However, a crisis usually shines a light on both what is good and what is bad in our society. We saw the lack of preparedness for the pandemic that many had warned should come. We have seen the hoarding of food, toilet paper, and hand sanitizers, which means that those who really need it cannot get hold of it. We have seen countries closing down their borders to keep medical equipment to themselves. This is even true within the EU, a union in which open borders and solidarity are key values. Just as during the refugee crisis of 2015, the EU was not up to the task when it was challenged. Or as the chairman of the EU Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, stated, when Europe really needed to be there for each other, too many initially looked out for themselves. When Europe really needed an all-for-one spirit, too many initially gave an only-for-me response. I hope that one day we will learn to stand up for our declarations and our key values. These are indeed strange times we are living in, and right now the corona pandemic is overshadowing just about everything. Things have really changed overnight. A year ago, I was standing in this very hall talking about another event that changed the world literally overnight, the tumbling down of the Berlin Wall in 1989. I talked about the danger of building walls and growing nationalism. I talked about the threats against democracy. I talked about fake news and the increasing disregard for science and knowledge. And those threats are as real today as they were back then. It can be illustrated by the US President Donald Trump, who refuses to admit his defeat in the presidential election, even though the facts are definitely clear. Absurd press conferences about rigged elections and constant attacks on the free press is threatening to undermine democracy in the US. This behavior is also used by other authoritarian governments to advance their position, undermine judiciary systems, and stop the free press. This can be viewed to be sanctioned by Trump's behavior as the leader of the world's strongest democracy. We see frightening development in Belarus, where the election results were falsified and demonstrations are crushed with huge brutality. Within the EU, we see countries, primarily Hungary and Poland, move away from the principles of democracy and the rule of law. When societies are badly hit by the effects of the pandemic, there is a risk that nationalism and isolationism will spread. The democracies of the world must stand strong. We who are educated at one of the world's leading universities have a special responsibility to stand up for facts, knowledge, logical thinking, and common sense. Let's take it. The world is facing great challenges in the areas such as climate, energy, water, waste, famine, migration, and to that we can now add global pandemics. But there is hope. We have you, graduates from LTH. You are needed more than ever. Technology, architecture, and design is not the problem in the challenges facing society today. They are an integrated part of the solution. You are an integrated part of the solution. Even if I personally cannot hand out your diplomas, it feels great to be able to congratulate you today when you're entering a new phase in your lives. You, dear graduates, represent the most essential part of the university, the students. Or as the former rector of Twente University in the Netherlands expressed it, a university without research is a bad university. A university without students is no university. You are the new problem solvers. You are wanted out there, and the need for your knowledge, skills, and spirits of cooperation is enormous. Personally, I hope that we will see a boost in creativity, cooperation, and human compassion in the wake of the corona pandemic. And I hope that we will work together to resist nationalism, xenophobia, and scapegoating. So, some guiding words as you set out on your road ahead. Life takes many unexpected twists and turns. Grab the opportunities when they come. You have a solid education from LTH. It is a strong foundation. When you see an opportunity, a problem waiting to be solved, ask yourself, if not I, who? If not now, when? Or in the words of the great American president, Theodore Roosevelt, do what you can with what you have, where you are. I truly hope you will look back at your student time with good memories and that you will act as good ambassadors for your alma mater. You are needed. Work for the benefit of the world. Make us proud. With that, I want to wish you congratulations on your graduation.